Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Terp Family Fundamentals webinar series. My name is Danielle Walker, and I'm the Program Coordinator in the Office of Parent and Family Affairs. For those that are new, this webinar series is intended to help you become informed consultants on campus resources. If you remember our office's presentation during orientation, we like to say that during the normal course of events, there is no problem that can arise at the University of Maryland that a student cannot solve using the many resources available to them here. We're joined today by Erica Ely, Program Director for Internships at the University Career Center and the President's Promise. Erica will discuss what is an internship, how does the Career Center support our students in obtaining such experiences, and how you can support your Terp through this process. Please feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will do our best to respond to those questions before the end of the webinar. With that, I will hand off the presentation.
Yeah, so my name is Erica Ely. I'm the Program Director of Internships here in the University Career Center and the President's Promise. In our office, we serve all students, all majors, all academic levels from freshman year all the way up to PhD and postdoc, with anything related to their career needs. So I'm excited to be able to kind of go through today how both our office, but also entities on campus can help students with their internship search process. So the goals for today, I'm going to talk a little bit about what actually is an internship, what is the difference between an internship and a part-time job versus volunteer, and we'll move pretty quickly through that. But there are some key aspects that students should be looking for when they're seeking internship experiences. I'll also talk about, like I mentioned, the on-campus resources that are available to students that are seeking internships. We have a lot available to them. And sometimes it is a little difficult for students to know everything that's available for them. And we're just going to kind of hit a little bit of the resources that are available. There's so much more too. I'm also going to talk a little bit about some of the events and the programs that my office puts on to help students get connected in person, in real life, to employers, to talk about internship opportunities. And then finally, some quick tips on ways for students to connect with UMD alumni that are working in their intended career field. Before we even launch into all of that, though, our office every year conducts a graduation survey. And so we say to University of Maryland students that just graduated, okay, now that you've graduated, where are you working? What's your job title? Did you have any internship experiences? And so we're going to conduct a quick poll. And what I would love to get your insight on is, what do you think is the percentage of August 2017, December 2017, and May 2018 graduates who participated in an internship while they were at the University of Maryland? So I'll give you just a few seconds to take a wild guess of what you think. Okay, and so what we're seeing, all right, 14% said 68%, 27% said 75%. Majority of people, 41%, said 84%. We should have stopped the webinar. They already know what's going on. Yeah, so the answer is 84%, which is extremely high. Students are starting to get the message that the workforce is a little different nowadays, and applicable experience, internship experience especially, is really, really, really important for them to have, at least while they're at University of Maryland. And with that 84%, over half of those are having 2 or more internship experiences. And so our office takes it very seriously of trying to help these students get connected to employers, but also just understanding the search process. And so we'll get into that in just a little bit. So what is an internship? It can be a semester. Some of our students really take advantage of being in the Washington, D.C. area, and also Baltimore. Annapolis is not too far. So some of our students will have internship experiences during the fall and spring semesters on a more part-time basis, maybe 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week, and then also obviously summer internship experiences as well. Our office really promotes the message of making sure that internships are consisting of educationally enriching projects. So that's what an internship experience should be. There should be learning objectives. The students should have a sense of What will they learn as a result of the experience? Sometimes internships have kind of the branding that it's pouring coffee, and what we want to make sure is that that doesn't happen, or that they're sitting at a front desk and answering phone calls all day or making copies all day. That is more of a part-time job. That is not an internship experience. So setting up learning objectives and expectations with their supervisor ahead of the experience so that the students know what they're getting themselves into and what they'll walk away with as a result of the experience. Making sure that there's mentoring, quality training, and supervision, and also regular feedback with their supervisor. We all know that not all internships are created equal. And so in my role, I work with both students and employers. On the student side, really trying to get this message across of, for the students to be their own best advocates and asking good intentional questions as they're going through the search process to make sure that this is an experience that they truly want to walk away with. And then on the employer side, I do consulting with employers who are trying to create an internship or trying to enhance an internship to make sure that these three things at least are really implemented. So the majority of their job assignments should be related to the student's major and career interests and a minimal amount to clerical work. We all have to answer phones. We all have to make copies, but that shouldn't be the majority of what's in their portfolio. Okay. So getting started with the internship search process, it can really look different according to the field that the student is interested in pursuing. And so you'll see a variety of pictures here. First one, you can maybe assume might be an accounting student. Usually that internship search process starts very early on in the fall semester for summer experiences. Whereas maybe a student interested in working for a museum or an art gallery, we're always going to encourage them to start the search process in the fall semester, but their process might be a little bit later on, just depending on who that art museum is, who that overall museum is, right? And what their recruiting strategy is. And then students interested in healthcare, oftentimes they are going to see more volunteer opportunities, perhaps some research opportunities if they're thinking the pre-med track and hoping to go to medical school. So we really encourage students to do the research on what is typical within their career field as far as internship searching and then obviously job searching down the line too. I do want to quickly show you a resource that is helpful for students. It is through the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's called the Occupational Outlook Handbook. I don't want to belabor this too much because we have a lot to cover, but if you go to bls.gov/OOH, it will take you to this Occupational Outlook Handbook. Over here, you'll see a bunch of different occupation groups. And what your student can do is choose 1, 2, 3, 4 that are particularly of interest to them. Okay, just for sake of example, I'm going to click on business and financial. So then when it does, it starts to break down this occupation group into different smaller occupations, right? And so your student maybe has heard of a financial analyst before or has heard of insurance underwriting or human resources, but maybe doesn't really quite know what exactly these folks do. And so what this resource helps them do is kind of walk through, what do they typically do? What are the typical duties? Are they called other things other than financial analysts, right? Where do they usually work? And sometimes this helps with the internship search process too, because then we can start to target certain employers that match this language. How to become one? Can we do this with just an undergraduate degree, or is a master's or maybe even a PhD needed or recommended? What's the typical pay? What's the outlook for the field? Is it expected to increase or decrease? And then maybe what are some other similar occupations? Maybe that's all sounding good to your student. And what this can do is it can help the student put some language into search terms, even when they are searching for internships online. So instead of only putting in finance intern, they can put in some other language that might be helpful for them. Okay. I'm going to keep on moving. So other questions that you should ask your student to consider for themselves: where geographically and when do they want to do the internship? So earlier I mentioned being in such a vibrant area, students have a lot of options in this area for internship experiences, especially because College Park is right on the Metro line. They have fairly easy access to DC. And then also being fairly close to Baltimore and Annapolis, they have options within, legislative internships, federal government internships, nonprofits, think tanks, major corporations. And so sometimes if a student is able to have an internship experience during the fall and spring semester, that's something that we would recommend if it fits within their course schedule. Obviously, classes should be taking priority. But if it fits within there, that way, the student can be applying to NASA in Greenbelt, Maryland, in the fall and spring semesters, and only mostly competing with local students versus only thinking about applying to NASA during the summer months, when they will most likely be competing with students nationally and potentially even internationally. Okay, so that's just something to consider as well, of having internship experiences during the fall and spring semesters. We want students to engage with us early. We do so much more than just resume and cover letter critiques. And I'm about to walk you through some of the things that we do for students to help them get connected. Yes, we will critique their resume. Of course, we will look at that, and we will help them with the interview process and the search process. But there's a lot of events that we will put on throughout the semester to help them. So what does the University Career Center do to help Terps find an internship? Well, let me tell you. To give you a quick little overview of how our office operates, we do have a centralized office in one of the campus buildings called Hornbeck Library. And then we also have program directors who essentially are career advisors that are scattered throughout campuses and located in the different colleges. So we have one person that's with agriculture and natural resources, arts and humanities, behavioral and social sciences, computer, mathematical and natural sciences, public health, and also the graduate school. So you might see that business and engineering is missing from those bullet points, and that is because business students and also engineering students do have separate career centers within their colleges, but we partner with both of those career centers very well. The benefit with that is that engineering students, for example, have access to engineering career services and then also to our center too. So technically they have access to two career centers. But we're really trying to embed ourselves into the academic curriculum, getting a lot of career resources, career assignments in many classes. We do a lot of presentations in classes too, to try to help students maybe kind of force students to listen about career services within their classes, and just reach them to where they are within the classroom. Through our center, we do have a resource called Careers for Terp. So you'll see it circled in that top left corner. That is an online database that we have available to students, where usually about 2,000 job postings, and that's jobs, in full-time jobs, internships, part-time jobs. There's even clinical shadowing opportunities listed in Careers for Terps, where a student can go and shadow a doctor, and it walks them through how to reach out to that doctor, whether they prefer email or phone call. It also has a lot of information about our events that are coming up. To the right of that, though, there is our events calendar that has everything that our center is doing throughout the semester. And we really encourage students to be checking that out at least once a week to see if there's anything that's coming up for them. And I'm going to talk you through that a little bit. So our website, our overall website is careers.umd.edu. We have sample resumes in here, interviewing tips, networking tips. And then specifically with internships, if you go to internships.umd.edu, that is our section that's all dedicated to internships. And I'm going to talk about that in just a sec right here. So On our internships.umd.edu site, we have a guide. It's a quick guide. We know that students want information very quickly, not a whole lot of reading, right? And so we have a quick guide about tips to start your internship search listed on internships.umd.edu. We also have other internship guides on there, one about internship searching specifically within the federal government, because that is a different process than industry, and students need to be aware of it, especially if they're interested in it being in this geographic region. We have a guide coming up about legislative internships, and so that is both Capitol Hill and then also Annapolis. There's a guide on there about campus departments that have internships for students, so they don't even have to travel into DC or any of the other major cities in this area. There's great opportunities right here on campus and within the College Park region for internships. And then there's also a guide about internship programs for multi-ethnic students. There's specific programs. They can be industry specific that are really trying to help multi-ethnic students with getting placed into different internship experiences. And so on that website too, you'll see other information about receiving academic credit for an internship, how to financially support your internship if they come across an unpaid experience. That can happen if they're looking at nonprofits or also within the government, and then tips on how to succeed within their internship. So I'm going to keep on moving all throughout the semesters, both the spring semester and also the fall semester. We have a lot of events that will help students with getting connected to employers. This is just a sample. Last week, we had our spring career and internship fair. Over 300 employers were in attendance. It was a 3-day event. Of those employers, 66% of them were looking specifically for interns. And so it's an event that is not just for graduating seniors. We really are encouraging students starting their freshman year to come to these events, to start to explore what's out there, and to start connecting with employers right away. The week prior to the fair, our center was completely on drop-in mode for students to just stop by, get their resume looked at, start talking about, start talking about how to talk to employers at career fairs, how to introduce themselves, how to follow up with employers after the fair. And then we have a bunch of other events that will come up throughout the semester. Things that aren't listed on the screen. We have a visual arts fair that's actually happening tomorrow. It's a reverse career fair where students that are in graphic design or animation, they're going to be at the tables and showing off their work, and employers are going to be walking around. And students have been connected to internships and full-time jobs as a result of that. Friday, we'll have an architecture fair. There's a health professions fair for students that are pre-med, thinking about going to medical school, dental school, allied health. We'll have a school public health networking night, a psychology exploration night. So again, because we serve all students of all majors, we really try to have a variety of events based off of what that student is interested in career-wise. And everything, again, will be on our website under our events calendar. We also have panels every single semester, and we switch up the topics that we do every semester. We do ask students when they're registering for Careers for Terps, that online portal that posts full-time jobs and internships. We ask them what kind of fields they're interested in pursuing, and we try to revolve some of our programming based off of that. So these are some of the topics that are coming up this semester. So you'll see anywhere from working with wildlife to data science, which is really huge right now, to juvenile justice and mental health services, allied health, and food and environmental justice. And so these panels are filled with alumni and parents and family members that are working in these fields, to talk about what it's like to work in the field. What advice would they have for students thinking about pursuing this field? Sometimes if there's internship opportunities, they'll discuss that as well, and students have an opportunity to network with them afterwards. Right now, we are in the middle of doing mandatory orientation sessions for a program that I manage called Intern for a Day. It's a one-day job shadow program. And we have partnered greatly with parents and families with this to serve as hosts for our students. All industries are represented. Well, I shouldn't say all, but vast majority of industries are represented on our host list. We do this every single semester, fall and spring, for local hosts that are in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And then we also have a special program in New York City and the surrounding area for students' winter break. The intention behind this program is just to give students some quick career exposure, right? Short term, low commitment for both the student and also the host, but sometimes students do get connected to full-time internships as a result. It's really just to try to give them a space to be able to explore what's out there without necessarily committing to a full-time or a part-time internship in order to explore. And so more details on that program is on go.umd.edu/IFAD. The list of hosts is available on there. And like I mentioned, this happens every fall and spring semester, and then also a winter break program in New York City. And aside from those other major ones, I just want to give a quick little shout out to some other things that we do through our center. We do career shuttles where we will rent a bus from DOTS, which is our Department of Transportation Services, and we will bus students to different organizations to learn about internships and jobs. They will do like a company visit, a tour, right? And so one that's coming up, we're taking students to the U.S. Department of Treasury, International Affairs Division, to learn about their internships and jobs. Through all of our major career fairs, we have free headshots for students. So in that way, within their LinkedIn profile, they're not just listing or posting their picture from senior year of high school. They have an updated headshot that they can share both on LinkedIn and other places. We also have career classes that are 1-credit courses. They're completely online. One that I run is EDCP 108I, which is an online course that's all about the step-by-step process of trying to find an internship. So students get credit to conduct their internship search, and there's a lot of support within that course as well. Psych 123 is a little bit more general. The title of it is The Psychology of Getting Hired. So it's not focused on internship searching in particular, but it talks a lot about career exploration, job search strategies, interviewing, so on and so forth. And then all throughout the semesters, we host workshops up here in the center to help students with interviewing or finding an internship. We have employers that will come through to talk about technical interviews or talk about case interviews, which is really common for consulting jobs, talking about just overall skills-based stuff that they need. We have people within the federal government that will come through and talk about how to apply to the federal government. And then we also host employers that will come through and talk about, they'll do information sessions about what internships they have available, jobs they have available. Some folks that are coming up soon are like Morgan Stanley, Capital One is coming through our center soon, the Peace Corps, just to talk to students about their opportunities. So, and the thing to keep in mind with these fairs and these panels and these employer information sessions is that we don't force anybody to come here and talk to our students, right? Maryland students are in demand. These employers are choosing to come to campus to talk to them. We just got to make sure that the students actually show up, right? Nobody's going to knock on their resident hall door to make sure that they show up for these events. But it would be wonderful for you all to encourage your student to take a look at what we have going on and seeing if there's anything that might be of interest for them. And hopefully there should be something of interest for them. Outside of our center, so I did mention that we have program directors that are within the colleges. So they will also create customized resources based off of the majors that they're working with. And so this slide here just gives you a sample of some things that are available to the students based off of the college that they're located in. I think BSOS in particular, so that's the College of Behavioral and Social Sciences, they do an excellent job of creating these guides that are major specific. I'm just going to take a quick second to show what that looks like, because I know not everyone on this webinar is going to be associated with the College of Behavioral and Social Sciences. But if you Google UMD BSOS career, or if you Google UMD CMNS career, you're going to come up on some of these websites that have the career specific information. If this pops up, we'll give it a couple of seconds, and if it doesn't, I'm going to move on. Okay, so here it is. This is the career section within the College of Behavioral and Social Sciences. So you'll see some overlap. We do a lot of cross-promoting. But under this Explore Careers tab, you'll see all of the majors are divided up here. So just as an example, I'm going to click on economics. And what this will do is my colleague Crystal creates these guides based off of our graduation survey of where are econ students, like what industry are they having a tendency to go towards? What are their job titles after graduation? What organizations are they working for? And then just some tips if this is an area that you're interested in pursuing. So you'll see banking, finance, and insurance, consulting, business, research policy, quantitative analysis. Sometimes the beauty and the demise of the econ major is that they go into such a variety of areas. So and that can be exciting for some students, but also it can feel a little overwhelming and not sure where to go. There's also a listing of some sample internship sites that econ students have reported going to afterwards, so that can be helpful of getting a list of employers to potentially look into a little bit further. All right. So I'm just using econ BSOS as a quick example, but a lot of our colleges and departments have that information out there on their website. And then I mentioned a little earlier, there are some on-campus internship programs. This is just a quick listing of some ones that come to mind. If your student is interested in going abroad for an internship experience, those are actually housed through Education Abroad. And so there's a database in there that students can search through opportunities to go abroad, and then that also have an internship component. And so if that is something of interest, Education Abroad is a great resource for internships abroad. And then finally, connecting with alumni in the search. So even though we bring on a lot of employers through our center to connect with students for internships, there are going to be some industries that are not as well represented. They might not have the capacity to come to campus to promote their internship experiences. That is totally normal. So there are other strategies that students should utilize. One being LinkedIn, which I'm going to show you one quick resource within LinkedIn that a lot of people don't realize exists, but is actually really cool. And then also we have a resource called Terpins Connect, which is housed through our Alumni Association. That is a database of Maryland alums that are interested in students reaching out to them to conduct informational interviews to learn a little bit more about what that alum is doing. So really quickly, this is just what Terpins Connect looks like, terpinsconnect.umd.edu. Your student can create a profile on here, and under the network button is where the database pops up. And so they can search in here based off of industry, based off of what that alum majored in. I would probably focus on industry first, and also where that alum is located. So let's say if your student is originally from New York or New Jersey, wants to make some connections with Maryland alums that are in New York or New Jersey for potential internship experiences, they can search all of the alums in this database that are from that area. Okay, and everyone that's located in this database are all choosing, again, to be here. They want the students to be reaching out to them. So that's Terrapins Connect. And then really quickly on LinkedIn, hopefully a lot of you are familiar with LinkedIn. In case you are not, it's just a quick little social media tool, but it's mostly for professional use. In the search bar, if you search University of Maryland and then click on the school page, click that. And then if you click on alumni over here, what this will do is it brings up this nifty database. You'll see 277,000 alumni listed. And so you can search based off of where they live and where they work, what they do and what they studied. So I'm going to pick on econ majors as an example once again. And so this is going to bring up all the previous econ majors, or they might be current students too that are studying econ. And so that brings it down to 15,000, but that's still a large number. And it's starting to bring up some Maryland alums and what are their job titles and where are they working, right? But then let's say we'll use the New York City area as an example. So this is starting to bring up econ majors in New York City. Where are they working? So it starts to give some ideas of some companies to potentially look into a little bit further. And then again, what are they doing? So there's a lot of fun that you can have with this as far as just helping your student explore what are some potential career fields or some potential employers to look into. I would also encourage taking out the major and then just searching based off of certain keywords within here too. Okay, so that was through the University of Maryland school page and then clicking on alumni. All right. And just as we start to wrap up, we do have drop-ins and appointments within our center every day, Monday through Friday, from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. With drop-ins in particular, those are the hours of 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Students can come on by. Usually these are a little bit more focused on resume critiques if that's all they're looking to do. Appointments are better if the student wants more guidance on maybe selecting a major, potentially how to job search, how to internship search, anything else career related. And they can schedule that appointment through Careers for Terps. And before I let you go, we do have a Bright Future Scholarship for unpaid summer internships. So if your student finds an opportunity that they're really excited about, let's say with a nonprofit or a government agency, but unfortunately it's unpaid, they can apply to this scholarship. And that will be open starting on Monday, April 6th. And all the information about it is go.umd.edu/brightfutures. So a quick little poll once again, after hearing this, you'll notice that everything I talked about other than LinkedIn and Occupational Outlook Handbook, everything that I talked about are resources that your student has access to as a result of being a University of Maryland student. And again, I just skimmed the surface. There are so many other resources that they can be tapping into through their departments. But which UMD resource will you be sure to share with your Terp? And so we have Careers for Terps listed, our online job and internship database, career and internship fairs, resources that are available through their academic college, Terrapins Connect and LinkedIn. Probably should have made an all of the above option, right? Very cool. So a lot are saying the Terrapins Connect and LinkedIn, Careers for Terps. That's wonderful. And so maybe hopefully 100% would say all of the above. So just some final recommendations before I let you go during your lunch break. Just encouraging your students to start looking and meeting with us early. It's never too early to start the internship search process and just seeing what's out there. They might get the message from an employer of, oh, we're not thinking about summer interns, get back to us in March. And that's totally fine, right? But at least they know that. instead of doing the reverse of waiting until March and saying, oh yeah, we did our internship hiring in October. Encouraging your student to explore a variety of avenues to search for an internship. Not one resource is going to work completely for them. And so they should be tapping into a variety of options. Having your student work with us to get their resume looked at. If they have no idea what a cover letter is, which is very common, they should be working with us to get that document together. Practicing talking out loud about their previous experiences. Sometimes when we're working with students with internships, with interviewing, they have great experiences, but sometimes they don't know how to articulate it. They don't know how to communicate it to outsiders in a way that an outsider is going to understand, aka an employer. So it's really helpful for you to kind of coach them through and practice how they want to describe some of their previous experiences. And obviously they can work with our office too on that process. And just reminding your student to keep on searching for an internship until it's confirmed, and then perhaps trying to celebrate their success, because this process can take some time, and it can be a little frustrating at times too. And so, yeah, anywhere where you can support them in that. All right, I think that's it for me. Were there any questions that were popping up that maybe I did not cover?
Yeah, so we did have one question that came in about how do you outreach to the students? How do you let them know all of these resources and all of the events going on?
Yeah. So that's a great question. There's a variety of ways. So on our website, on the homepage, careers.umd.edu, if you scroll all the way down, students can join a newsletter that we send out on a biweekly basis that gives a little bit of insight into what's coming up. Everything that we're doing is on our events calendar. We are fairly active on Twitter. So if you do at UMD Career Center, we are on there, and also on Instagram to help students get connected and knowing. We send out other newsletters too. A lot of my colleagues that are in the colleges will have newsletters for their particular students that students can join. There's a lot of different ways, right? And there's no perfect way. We try to get our hand in a lot of different options. We also do a lot of classroom presentations too to try to help spread the word as well.
Great. And can you share what the percentage of students are that are freshmen that get internships?
I really wish that we had that particular number. Unfortunately, we don't. University of Maryland does not have a mechanism in place to really collect that, just because students are not required to report back to us whether or not they have an internship experience. The only way we could potentially know that is if they're getting academic credit for the experience. And a lot of students will choose not to get academic credit, and we'll just have the internship experience. So unfortunately, I do not have that number, and I wish I did.
Another question is it difficult to get an internship in something that is different from your major?
It's a little hard to describe, right? And that does happen. So I was just working with a student yesterday that was a biology major, but is thinking maybe medical school is not what I want to do, maybe law school is what I want to do, and is talking about potentially trying to get an undergraduate internship within law. Now, we probably mostly all know that, people that are pursuing law do come from a variety of backgrounds. Law doesn't necessarily have a particular major involved with it. But what we did was we talked about what are some of the skill sets that he has been developing, trying to help him communicate out why is this an area that he's interested in now as a bio major, right? A lot of fields are not necessarily major specific. Ones that are major specific that come to mind, computer science, accounting, K through 12 education on the public school side, But majority of other fields there's a lot of different majors that can tap into it. And so if your student is kind of concerned about their major not fitting in with a certain industry that they're hoping to pursue, I would recommend that being an individual appointment that they schedule with a career advisor for us to be able to kind of talk them through it and talk through some options of trying to get some experiences.
For out-of-state students and students who are wanting to find internships in other areas, are there specific resources for them, or areas where they can look for internships that are not in the College Park area?
Yeah, absolutely. So Careers for Terps will have internships that are in all cities. Now, a lot of internships that are in Careers for Terps are going to be in Maryland, DC, and Virginia, just because the employers do log on there themselves and they post those opportunities. And usually those are the ones that are thinking about Maryland students in particular. But there are some other outside resources outside of University of Maryland that are available. One that immediately comes to mind is Indeed.com. Where students throw in certain keywords and a location. So let's say, I don't know, social media intern, public relations intern as their keywords, and then Boston, Massachusetts as an example. And what it will do is it will bring up internships that are actively posted on the web that match those particular keywords. So employers are not actually posting on Indeed.com. Instead, Indeed is kind of like a search algorithm where it's finding the actively posted internships on the World Wide Web. So it might be just listed on a company's website, and that's how it shows up within the results. So that's one that immediately comes to mind. But again, it's just going to also depend on what is the field that the student is thinking about pursuing. So I'm going to pick on museums again. Like if they want to intern with a museum in a certain city, I would do a quick little Google search of what are all the museums in that city and start creating a list, maybe an Excel document or a Google sheet of all those museums, going onto their website, seeing if they have internships posted, maybe using LinkedIn to try to find if there's any Maryland alums that happen to be working with that museum, and reaching out to do informational interviews. Not necessarily saying, hey, I'm a student looking for an internship in the museum that you work for, but more so, I'm a University of Maryland student thinking about pursuing a career within museums. And, you know, I was using LinkedIn to try to find Maryland alums working for museums, specifically in Boston, because that's where I want to be. Can I have 30 minutes of your time to talk to you a little bit more about what it's like to work in that field? I happen to be home during spring break, right, which is XYZ time. And so, yeah, so we can help students kind of walk through and talk through that process so it feels a little bit more comfortable.
And then the final question we have is, do you know what proportion of students get credit for their internships?
So on our website, we do have all of the results of our graduation survey. And I know that information is in our graduation survey. And off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact percentage, and I don't want to misquote it. I do want to say it's somewhere between 35 and 45% will receive academic credit for their internship experiences, but I don't want to misquote. That information is on our website, though. And there's some reasons why some students would choose maybe not to get credit for an internship experience. For example, for summer internships, they will have to pay summer tuition in order to receive academic credit for a summer experience. Also, some academic departments might not approve certain internship experiences for academic credit. It just kind of depends on what the standards are for that individual department. Internship credit is a little bit decentralized on University of Maryland's campus.
Thank you. So as we wrap up, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. On our final slide, you will see our contact information. I like to remind everyone that a recording of this webinar is available on the Terp Family YouTube channel. You can also access the recording through our terpfamily.umd.edu webpage if you'd like to rewatch this with another family member. Again, on this final slide, you'll see contact information for both the University Career Center and the President's Promise, as well as our office, or my office, the Office of Parent Family Affairs. So please, again, if you have any questions or would like more resources, please feel free to reach out to either one of us. You will receive an email this afternoon asking for your feedback. So please let us know how we did, how we can improve on future webinars, as well as any topics that you'd be interested in learning about. I love interacting with our campus partners and bringing this information to you all through these webinars. So please let me know what it is that you would like to learn more about. We welcome your thoughts. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.